Now we're starting with all the updates on the hostage prisoners swap. Emotional scenes were unfolding as Israeli children and women held captive by Hamas militants in Gaza for a grueling 49 days were released and finally reunited with their families under Qatar and Egypt as well as US brokered deal. Israeli families welcomed the second group of hostages after Hamas had delayed the release by several hours earlier, accusing Israel of violating the terms of the truce deal. The last-minute delay created a tense standoff but ultimately went through after international mediation efforts. One can only imagine the plight of the families that have been waiting for the hostages to come back home. Emily Hand had her 9th birthday as a hostage in Gaza, the day before she was reunited with her father, who initially believed she'd been killed in the devastating attack by Hamas gunmen on southern Israel last month. You can see these visuals on your screens right now. Rounding the corner of a hospital corridor, 9-year-old Ohad ran, hurling himself into the arms of his father after being held by militants in Gaza for nearly 7 weeks. The young boy who spent his 9th birthday as a hostage in Gaza was among 4 children freed from captivity.
We started a campaign a day ago that for celebrating with Ohad, everyone who can should hang a balloon wherever he wants, on the car, on the houses, in the offices. The color is not that important, but Ohad liked, the team that Ohad liked in Israel, their color is red.
A relative of a freed 9-year-old Israeli boy said that the puzzle not yet complete after the family reunion. 3 out of 4 family members of the Munda family, 9-year-old Ohad, his mother Karen and grandmother Ruthie were released from captivity in Gaza and brought back to Israeli soil. Ruthie's 78-year-old husband Avraham Munder still remains in Gaza in Hamas's custody. Not just this family, many other families were united. An Israeli father rejoiced at reuniting with his wife and daughters who returned to Israel on Friday after being held hostage for weeks by Hamas. Yoni Katz Asher hugged his family, Schneider Children Medical Center, after their 50-day ordeal. For Yoni Katz Asher, whose wife and children were freed from Hamas captivity, there was happiness mingled with concern for those who remained in Gaza still. Others echoed that sentiment, among them Adva and Elon, the grandchildren of 85-year-old Yafa Adar as well.
Thankfully, our grandmother returned home yesterday. After almost 50 days in captivity, we got a chance to hug her again. We are very moved from her strength and from the way she was able to survive this experience. So I ask you, all of you, all the international community, don't stop fighting. We will fight for all of them. We will demand their return.
And then there's 5-year-old Emilia Aloni, who was released with her mother Danielle and was reunited with their grandmother. In pictures released by the SAMS, Emilia can be seen in a tight embrace with her grandmother. IDF released video of its preparations for the reception of the hostages at the Kerem Shalom. They dubbed the operation as Heaven's Door. In a period of 4 days, a total of 50 Israeli hostages are to be exchanged for 150 Palestinian prisoners. It's the second day of the truce between Israel and Hamas, and a much-awaited second round of hostage exchange has taken place. Hamas released 13 Israelis and 4 Thai hostages in exchange for the freedom of another 39 Palestinian prisoners. This is how Hamas's armed wing released the hostages from captivity. The hostages were handed over to the Red Cross for safe passage into Israel.
Bye now. Goodbye. Welcome. Goodbye. Keep waiting.
The doctor waiting also there.
Red Cross vehicles carried the second round of released hostages through Egypt's Rafah border crossing. And finally, the hostages were taken through the south of Israel to camps that were set up by the Israeli Defense Forces for the rehabilitation of the captives. The entire exchange of hostages was monitored by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu has been monitoring the exchange since yesterday. In return, Israeli prison authorities released 39 Palestinians. The prisoners were welcomed home in East Jerusalem. The most prominent individual that was released was Israel-Hamas, who was convicted of detonating a gas cylinder in a car at a checkpoint in 2015. She was sentenced to 11 years in prison for wounding a police officer. Celebrations broke out in several parts of Palestine's West Bank to celebrate the release of prisoners from Israeli jails. But the second hostage prisoner exchange, it took several hours to materialize. Hamas delayed the second release yesterday, claiming that Israel had failed to comply with the preset terms regarding the entry of relief trucks into northern Gaza. Disagreement over the criteria for releasing prisoners also led to the delay. Hamas decided to continue the temporary truce only after Egyptians and Qataris assured that Israel would abide by all agreed terms.
كلمات استيقظنا ونحن نتحدث
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.